where crime fighters are gunning for Police Commissioner Thembisile Patekile, saying he's out of touch with the realities of communities torn apart by escalating gang violence. The Cape Flats Safety Forum is leading the call for his resignation, arguing that communities and families live in fear. Let's take you to Newzroom Afrika's Nasiphi, who joins us live and is tracking the story. Nasiphi, of course, there are at least a couple of developing stories just over the past 12 hours of what appears to be murders related to gang violence. And these stories have been coming in thick and fast over the past week.
Michelle, I'd say it's been since July that we've been covering the gang-related shootings in various parts of the Cape Flats. Communities saying that they're not only bleeding but are at a breaking point. I mean, as you put it, in the last 12 hours, we're speaking of a flare-up in Hanover Park that left a 10-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old and an adult wounded in a suspected gang-related shooting that saw them having to be rushed to hospital yesterday. And hours later in Lentegeur, two adults, a male and a female, also shot dead. We understand that they were shot in the head. And if you remember, Lentegeur on Monday, Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Patekile was in that very community after the discovery of 19 firearms, including over about 1,500 rounds of ammunition. And I am now joined by Abby Isaacs, who is from the Cape Flats Safety Forum, the chairperson there. The Cape Safety Forum is leading the charge and calling for the resignation of the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Patekile. Talk to us about the reasoning behind that.
First and foremost, we want to say that this notion of calling for the resignation of the Provincial Commission is not something that we just woke up on Monday morning and decided we do it. It was a process where we needed to analyze what's happening in and around the Western Cape specifically. Just last week, we've been saying that the Cape Flats is under siege, the Western Cape is under siege. Over and above that, the crime stats for the last quarter have revealed itself. Over and above that, we look at just this week, from last week, Monday to Thursday, we've seen about 13 people have been shot in and around Mitchell's Plain. So clearly for us that becomes a concern. Noting the fact that the Provincial Commission is the one that needs to lead the charge. Like last night, we were out in Mitchell's Plain. We saw that there was an operation. The National Commissioner, that time of the evening, had his foot on the ground. What is from DCS were in the area. And that's what we've been saying. We need to have a multifaceted approach. And I think we also need to acknowledge that, yes, we want to acknowledge the 19 firearms that were recovered. But again, the question is, no suspect has been arrested. And if you say that it was an intelligence-led operation, by now you should have known Pizza course comes in that particular time, drives in a particular vehicle, and those type of things. That information should have been surfaced. Over and above that, we are concerned. The question is, how many of those firearms were state-issued firearms?
I mean, that's also a question that I posed to the Provincial Commissioner on Monday. He was unable to answer. But, you know, earlier this year, we were also outside the Mitchell's Plain police station following the firearms that went missing. A number of people saying, while these 19 firearms have been recovered by police, are they going to be staying in the hands of the police?
We have been advocating and will continue to advocate that the destruction of firearms should not be nationalized, should be decentralized. And when you speak about decentralization, you also get the community vetted organizations to come in and see that these firearms are actually get destroyed.
Abby Isaacs, we have seen about 10 people shot and killed in Mitchell's Plain just in a space of a weekend, and among those were children. Yesterday also in Hanover Park, it seems to me that children are being caught in the crossfire and the numbers are rising. What do you make out of this?
We strongly condemn any acts of violence. Hence we've been calling there needs to be a special probe set up to deal with this gun violence, because it's ironic that 19 firearms recovered now on Monday. 2 or 3 weeks ago, firearms were extracted that was en route to the Cape Flats in Johannesburg. You know, so clearly for us, we're starting ourselves, is there a sinister force maybe operating within around the Western Cape, in particular the Cape Flats, to destabilize our area? And I think the other point that we've consistently been calling, by now the president should have had a wake-up call. You've been to the White House in the Oval where President Trump himself has indicated to him, we have a problem in the Western Cape, we have a problem in the Cape Flats. By now he should have utilized his power to deploy the South African Defence Force as a force multiplier. Over and above the writings on the wall, Cape Flats, Cape Town is under siege.
I mean, I might be pushing it here, but do we perhaps know where these guns are coming from? Because it seems to me that there's an oversupply of firearms and ammunition on the Cape Flats.
Hence, we've been calling a special probe need to be set up. We've already got names, people, retired judges, retired police officers, in particular people that have worked on the Prinsloo gun, that have unpacked the Prinsloo guns. And obviously the name, when you speak about the Prinsloo guns and who did the investigation, name would pop up. So that is what we're saying. We need a special probe, SANDF to be deployed. And obviously, by now, it's 5 years down the line. We see crime escalating. We are asking Provincial Commission, I think, resign.
While, let's say, he's considering, the call from the Cape Safety Forum, what is it that you want him to do immediately, just quickly for us?
Immediately, we need all resources, all boots on the ground. We need the necessary resources and stabilize all these areas. Yes, we acknowledge that the South is under lockdown. But while the South is under lockdown, Muizenberg, the Steenbergs, shooting is happening in Nova Park. Just yesterday in Nova Park, were a red zone, as we can call it. Mitchell's Plain last night.
We'll have to leave it there. Abby Isaacs, the chairperson of the Cape Safety Forum, calling for the resignation of the Provincial Commissioner in the Western Cape, Lieutenant General Patekile. They are also calling for more intervention on the Cape Flats, rather. He references the visit to the White House, where billionaire businessman Johann Rupert was telling President of the U.S., Donald Trump, regarding the scourge of gang violence and how the Cape Flats is under siege, which is currently being echoed by Abby Isaacs, saying that more needs to be done in securing the lives of those that are currently living on the Cape Flats. Widespread gang violence has surged in a number of communities.